Dude, it has. I was just thinking about that. It's been like
Jeff.
a while.
May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw each other at OPA, right?
OPA, baby.
When I had that horrible recollection of being the oldest guy in the room where none of my video references or movie references worked anymore.
Oh, very true. Very true.
It was brutal. I think the only joke I got a big laugh at was an OnlyFans joke.
Oh yeah, I'm sure all those kids are familiar with that, huh?
Oh yeah, they're definitely familiar.
Aren't we all glad we dodged that?
Oh
Yeah.
man, there's so many things I'm glad we dodged.
I couldn't imagine like dating or navigating that scene in this time. Like,
not.
Dude, yeah. I'm old enough that I didn't even have Facebook in college, and that is a saving grace.
Yeah, for sure.
That's hilarious.
I feel you there. It came along. We had Facebook when we were in college, and I do look back at some of the posts that I made, because it used to be like Logan Corbett. So then you'd like finish the sentence like Logan Corbett is this, and some of the stuff that I made in like 2009 words. Yeah. I was like, what is wrong with you? Are you like? Anyway, it's embarrassing some of the stuff that I put out there. There's not even like pictures. It's just I can't believe I thought that way. I'm an idiot. But,
right.
Anyway. Turns out Doug still has that same thought about me now. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
That's how good friends know each other. You know all the dirt, you choose not to share it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Hopefully.
Yeah, me and Paul are constantly calling each other, sharing Logan's dirt.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have a fun little tricycle you guys are riding around.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we do. Oh, that's hilarious, man.
Well, how's life in the champion fitness world?
Dude, life is good. Life is really good.
Sage made the NFR.
Sage made the NFR. Had a lot of guys making the NFR again. Had a lot of younger guys making their first NFR, which has been really cool to see. And we've got more coaches than me with athletes making the NFR this year, which is like, that was the goal, like to spread this among, as many athletes as we can and help as many people as we can. So it's been cool to see these guys putting the time in, been years of coaching with me now. And now everyone is being able to coach elite athletes and get them to that next level. And like Logan's been coaching a bronc rider for the last 3 years. And the whole reason he hired Logan was because he was tired of finishing in that 16th, 17th spot. And here we are 2 years later, and he is at his first NFR, and not just squeaking in. Like, he made it clear from Pendleton he was already in. So it's been really good, man. We've been busy and rocking and rolling, adding more coaches.
Sounds like that's some media opportunity for you guys to put together some 60 or 90-second videos with some testimonials. That'd be a solid move.
Yeah, that would be a solid move.
Completely agree.
Because you guys don't need any more else to do, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, I feel like you're probably you've got way more going on than us, man. Let's well, speaking of going on and spontaneous things, you had a little problem at the ranch this yesterday, huh? With some spontaneous combustion on some hay.
Yeah, we did at the feed yard. We had a hay bunker that had literally been there for 18 months. The bales that formed the bunker caught on fire. So, luckily it's early enough in the year. It's really not going to be a big impact. It was more of a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
So we jokingly sent our marketing guy a message yesterday with a picture and said, "Hey, should we have a fire sale?" So he thought we were maybe, I don't know that he thought we were a little too dark, but he was like, hilarious. Man, at least you guys can roll with it. I was like, hell, it's already on fire. What you gonna do?
Yeah, how much we can do here. Oh man, I had never even.
Yeah,
well, I didn't really know anything about that. Like that hay could do that, and then I saw a trailer going down the road the other day, and it was smoking. And then 2 minutes later, the whole thing's on fire, and I was like, "What happened?" So I did a little research and figured that out.
So if you bale hay a little too wet, or if you get the right combination of moisture and oxygen, it starts to rot basically. And that'll create an anaerobic reaction that'll start to generate heat. And then once the oxygen gets to it, it just goes high order. So especially in hay bales, like in our scenario, what'll happen is it'll start way down low and it'll actually tunnel through the bales. And then so by the time it really gets going and you find it, it's through everything
Mhm.
before. And once you break it open with the front end loader, man, that's like putting a leaf blower on a campfire. So
Yeah, not good.
Some of my
Wow.
fondest memories are loose stacking 300 bales with my dad because we'd pick up some hay and it'd be a little moist or something. We'd be like, crap,
Yeah.
and then you gotta restack it again a month or so later.
right.
Oh,
Cool.
man.
Yeah, yesterday was exciting to say the least, but we also got in, all of our boxes for the holiday season. We got in an entire semi-load of insulators last week, so the building here at the ranch is just jam full of stuff getting ready
Yeah.
for the holidays. And I'm gonna go get my my workout in today, just moving stuff, I think.
Yeah, dude. Functional fitness, baby. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all
Yeah.
about.
Oh, dude, I was in Austin last week for a bunch of podcasts, and I rolled with the B Team Jiu-Jitsu guys and just got hammered. It was so brutal. So it's fun, but it's also like, you got to pay the toll, and all those guys just went to the ADCC Worlds last weekend. So they were like basically walking. I rolled with them like 2 days before they went to the national finals.
It
was a heavy room.
Yeah, you're their practice dummy for the
Yeah.
national finals.
We need to set
Who's
up a
that?
we need to set up a match between Jeff and Hooks. I feel
Yeah,
like
they
Jeff
would
versus
actually be
Matt. That would be a
Body
good,
size, they would be legit against each other. I think you guys probably
Yeah,
weigh about the
that'd
same, and
be
you're
a
just
good-
as tall as each other. He's just
yeah. It'd
well,
be a
what
good match, I think.
you may have said it just before I kind of had my internet freeze. What level or belt are you?
I'll probably have a blue belt soon. I've been a white belt for like 2.5 years, 3 years now.
Mhm.
So I should probably have a blue belt at some point, but that's not my call.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some days I'm like, I've been doing this a while, but then there's other days it's like, yeah, I still got a lot to learn. So,
Yeah, Matt was.
but then you roll with super high level guys, and it's so humbling.
That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying. He's a white belt as well, and he was saying, 2 years to get your blue belt is a common thing. Like, you just don't go in there and get a blue belt after a year usually. Again, I guess depending on who your coach is, but he was saying, his confidence would get high rolling with other white belts, and he would be going in, and he'd get paired up with a blue belt or purple or whatever, and they'd be going 50% and still making him tap in under a minute. And he's like, damn, this is the most humbling thing in the world to do. So I hear it's pretty awesome, and it's a good, man, an incredible workout. And then the mental side of it, I think,
the craziest thing about
to me is the most attractive
jiu-jitsu,
part
if you
of
look at the
that
two
form of
sides
exercise
you
or
have gi-
competition.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Is
go
that my
ahead.
internet or yours?
No, it's mine. It's
Okay.
mine. I got a storm rolling in.
Yeah. So the hardest part is you have gi and no gi. And when you're
Mm.
rolling with a gi, it's like rolling with a guy wearing full clothing. So you can grab the clothes, you can manipulate them, you can do all this other stuff. And when I went down to Austin last week, it was all no gi. And that is an entirely different language. And it's faster, and you don't have any way to slow them down. So
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's just rough.
That
So.
sounds intense.
Don't get me
Super
wrong.
intense.
It was fun, but it was heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can only
yeah,
imagine,
and you
man.
guys have OPA coming up like next month, right?
Dude, like 2 weeks. Yeah. First week in November, we're going down to Texas. Gonna do this all again.
Nice.
Wish it was closer so we could have you down there again. That was so helpful, man, on the financial side of things for being able to explain all that. Something I wanted to have you do this morning, if you didn't mind, just for all our rodeo athletes listening that don't pay attention to their money. What are like 2 or 3 easy things someone could implement in their day or their life to help manage their finances better or keep track of their money?
Yeah. With anything, you got to be intentional, right? What's your intent? Is your intent to be competitive at rodeo and be flexible so you can go to a short round, or is your intent to, go party at the Letter Buckroom in Pendleton and not have money for a plane ticket? Pay attention, be intentional in what you're doing. And I only say that from experience because I've made plenty of those non-intentional choices.
Oh yeah.
And the other one is just be mindful of your finances. not careful, not scared, but be mindful of it. Where are we trying to go? You can't bet on winning. Um, and I think one of the biggest messages I shared was, hey, if you guys hit it big on the spring run down in Texas, don't think that that's going to continue for the year. Put some money away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think the other biggest opportunity is there's so many nutraceutical companies or gear companies that are willing to sponsor athletes, especially with just in-kind product.
Mm-hmm.
You should be working those angles quite a lot to see where you can save some money. And be realistic in your ask. We get a lot of people trying to ask us with the beef company, hey, we want free product, we want free this, we want free that. And, we can usually swing that. But when it's like, well, it's $2,500 for me to talk to you every month or talk about you, be honest with yourself about the value you provide and the value you can get and wade into that pool. Don't just try to cannonball in because, you're not the only guy making those calls.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that's such good advice. Absolutely outstanding. Thank you for that. It's been a while since we've had you on the show, and I'm certain we've had a huge growth in our following and our listeners. So I want to kind of just go to the basics of Colorado craft beef and fill everybody in about what you're about, how this is different from the beef that you're getting at a grocery store. And I've got a couple other questions, but I'll let you start there.
Sure. So the elevator pitch is, we're a fifth generation. Well, my wife is fifth generation on the family ranch. That's where I'm sitting right now. And we are 95% direct to consumer. So we have our own ranch. We have our own feed yard. Recently, actually, as an addition to the previous conversations we've had, we purchased our own processing plant. So now we are integrated top to bottom, which a lot of ranches that do direct to consumer can't say. And we did that with some intent that we can talk about in a little bit. But my wife has a master's degree from WT and Canyon in cattle nutrition. I'm a recovering private equity and corporate sales guy. My wife has a big background in sales, and that led us into this more value-added side of the business. But, for the rest of the rodeo community or the Western community, the biggest thing that we really focus on is we don't demonize any other side of the industry. We support if you are a commodity rancher and you're doing your very best and you're being transparent as you can, absolutely, please do you. We just have an opportunity to do some things that some of the industry cannot. But we will never say anything negative about beef in the grocery store or, any of that other stuff or food shame, because that's one of the things that is getting very odd in this direct to consumer space as well. If you're not buying our stuff, you're hurting the environment or you're doing these other things. And that's just, it's so dirty. I just cannot stand it. Yeah, absolutely. And I've said this on a bunch of podcasts, so forgive the repetitive nature, but, as agriculturalists, rodeo, Western way of life or not, that's a pretty small subset of the population, and we shouldn't be trying to get ahead in our market by standing on the throats of our neighbors.
Amen.
And that is something that we've really tried hard to work on and message in a honest but insightful way to maybe give other people hope that you can reach other forms of the market without going totally gangbusters on the left trying to demonize everybody around you.
Dude, yeah, that's so important. Our grocery store or not and you may not know this, I'm pretty sure you will. Beef like production in the U.S., is the U.S. supplying the majority of the beef that's being consumed in the United States, or is that being imported?
So typically, if you find imported beef, it's going to be in burger.
Okay.
Unless, or you might find steaks from Canada, but in general, nobody else is shipping whole cuts to us that we're going to actually put into a grocery store.
Okay.
And the reason we import the beef that is going into burger is because we're one of the few countries in the world that actually feeds grain to cattle. That generates an excess amount of fat trim within our system. And then the big guys, the Tysons and Cargills of the world, import beef from other areas that's lean trim to mix with that fat, so we're not wasting it. A lot of people miss that particular detail. it's not imported as a way. It's mostly not imported as a way to, fleece a consumer. It's imported as a way to utilize the rest of the product in the chain. What Colorado craft beef does is obviously different than that chain, but the thing to understand in that chain is nobody's going out of their way for the most part trying to, get different pricing, because while it may be cheaper in another country and it may be brought in here, none of that's cheap, right? It still has to get here. You guys travel for a living. Now, throw a semi on there and move 40,000 pounds. That's not cheap.
No,
but
it isn't.
But if it matters, vote with your dollar. Support the system you want to support, and ask the questions that matter to you. And those people that will meet the requirements you have are out there.
Absolutely, man. I think that's so important. And going back to like what you're saying about competition, and you guys are not there to quote unquote, like shit on anybody else. You want to see everybody win, and we're big proponents of that. And on our show, we talk about other trainers all the time, and there are other options besides us. All we care about is that the athletes are getting the help. So really admire that aspect and how you guys view your business. Just going back to the grocery stores, how is Colorado craft beef different than what you'll find in a grocery store? Is it different?
It is. The biggest thing you're going to notice is the texture and the flavor. And that's because we can age all of our beef for 21 days as a whole carcass before we break it into steaks. So, if you go buy flank steak at the grocery store, it's not aged. It's just not. Like, it's too small of a piece to actually fully age. But if you age it on the carcass, there's a lot less waste. And then probably the best part and the most fun part for me is when you're buying steak from Colorado craft beef, you buy a 1 pound package of fillets. There's a whole lot less water in our product than there is in what you get from the store because of the aging process.
Yep.
So you have a more concentrated, robust flavor. And when you prepare the meat and you cook it, you're not going to get quite that flash. You're going to get a lot more consistent cook. And, anybody trying to impress somebody, if you're starting with a better steak before you add any heat or salt, you're probably going to end with a better steak. So, if you got that third or fourth date and you're trying to make an impression, we can help with that.
No, probably not. If I'm
That's a
cooking
good
it.
sales pitch right
there. If I'm cooking it, I could start with a better steak. I'm still going to end with a burnt hocky puck, probably.
You're from Australia, so it's
real
different.
master.
So go to our YouTube channel. We do have a series of video clips called Steak School that goes through. Yeah, that goes through how we cook different steaks. We're going to be doing a lot more content coming up. We've got some really cool partnerships that we've built, and some of that's going to be on the content side, but just high quality steak and, just having a good time. So just keep an eye on that. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be looking into that.
There you go.
Yeah. Everyone out there probably could learn how to cook a steak better. So check it out. Go check out their YouTube. Check out their steak school, and more to come. So pay attention to that. I will say firsthand that my experience with Colorado craft beef has been exactly like you said, different. The beef just looks different. You can cut it with a fork. It cooks great. And I'm talking about like you can cut like a sirloin with a fork after you cut it. It's awesome. And so I'm a big fan of it. Posted a lot on my story. Been eating a lot of elk meat lately, so haven't been into the beef, but we'll be back on that shortly, I'm sure. So it's awesome, man. I really enjoy the beef. And, first time I got shown it, I was like, what is this? Like, this is the best steak I've ever had. Sage actually showed it to me at his house one day. And so ever since then, been a big Colorado craft beef fan, man. Let's talk about this new.
Well, I appreciate the love. Appreciate all of it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Let's talk about these new ventures that you guys have started, which is, to me, it's groundbreaking. Like you said, there are not many people that are able to do this, not many beef production companies that are able to do this. You have purchased a processing facility, so you're able to do the entire process now, be a part of the entire process, hands-on, from literally growing these animals to when they're out for production and out for consumption. What how's that all going? Like, what spurred that? Have you guys been thinking about this for a long time? I know you've got some incredible partners that you've teamed up with that were not necessarily part of this industry, but have become extremely interested
Yeah.
and invested. So why don't you fill us in on what's going on there?
Yeah. Well, so last October, we actually took down our own feed yard. So that was the next step in the chain. And then luckily, it's the same feed yard we've been using for the last 4 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, you start doing good business with good people and opportunities present themselves. And now, actually, the harvest facility project we've been working on for about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. It's a lot of gray hair that I earned in that process. And originally, we had some people, as you guys can probably guess, after COVID, there was a ton of push in the market on the direct to consumer side. There was a lot of interest in people wanting to expand. The biggest argument is, oh, we can't get enough harvest space because we can grow, but whatever. And we struggled through that same problem. Well, the flip side is if you grow 30 cows and you harvest 30 calves for direct to consumer and you want to go to 50, you're still going to have that level of input, right? You're really not going to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys could probably coach 5 athletes in the same time it takes to coach 15. It's just a matter of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the economic term is scale of economy, right? We've all seen that. Like if you guys want to do OPA for 3 guys, you could, but man, that bill's going to probably have a little sticker shock.
Yeah.
So the hard part is in the beef space, especially if you want to jump to 50 next year and then you're going to go back to 22, and it's just a cyclical nature of the market. And then, respectfully for a lot of our brothers and sisters in ag, the beef side is, oh, I had some open heifers, I'm going to move them into another value chain. It's not a beef company. It's not a meat company. It's a way to not, get beaten up when you take those cattle to the sale barn, which I get. But there's a different mentality in we're going to have a beef company versus we're going to, move some cows into another system. And, we actually, the harvest dates we're using right now going into Christmas are dates we spoke for at the end of 21.
Wow.
Well, we're also, growing massively. So how do you start to forecast that? Start compounding 2 years of growth on a calendar and you miss it by 20%. It's a massive number.
Mm-hmm.
So just from a business standpoint, it's like, hey, we gotta figure this out. We gotta get the kill plant under our own control. The harvest facility needs to be ours, not just from a growth standpoint, but also, say you build it to 1,000 head a year, 2,000 head a year. If you don't own that facility, do you really own a business? They sell to somebody else, or they just decide that you suck. What happens? You aren't going to find that harvest facility or that harvest space elsewhere.
Nope.
So at some point you got to backstop your own abilities, especially in a market such as this where you don't have all that additional resource available. So we started doing a little looking around, and luckily the gentleman that owned the harvest facility we've been using was a classmate of mine from CSU. And I said, hey, man, I think as a group, and, everybody listen to this. I said, hey, as a group, I think we can make our businesses bigger if we work together. You're going to do what you do or what you do, and your kids are never going to go hungry, and I'm going to do what I do, and my kids will never go hungry, but we'll never really get to the clouds if we're doing it on our own. So let's put together our 2 businesses we've built. How do we make that money work? We got a deal done with him. And then we went out to figure out how to fund the rest of it. And, as we all know, you could call any number of people and probably come up with some money, especially currently in the beef market. But are they going to help you sell product? Are they going to be waiting at the end of the year for a check? Are they going to help you push that business? If you guys wanted to expand all your fitness stuff and you wanted to get way bigger, Warren Buffett might throw some money at it, but he's not going to do it for the love of the game, right?
Right.
So for us, it was, man, now we can get all the supply we want, but are we going to have all the demand we need to offset that supply? And when you start looking at the financial models and you start seeing the amount of money you think you're going to have to spend on marketing to acquire that many customers, it's a massive number.
Mm-hmm.
So we went more to the strategic route, and we made some phone calls based on some podcasts we heard and some people that we knew that knew some other people. And, you know, it was about mission. It wasn't about money. And, you know, we are, I shared this story on Greg Anderson's podcast. So I have a picture that everybody on this, I think that listens to your show will really appreciate it. My dad and I were standing behind the buck and shoots at Pendleton right after the grand entry. They're singing the national anthem, and I have a picture of my dad standing behind the buck and shoots saluting the flag, and he is a Vietnam veteran. Holy crap. That picture's burned into my brain in a way I cannot begin to describe. But then you take that and you say, man, what's more American than that? And I think the only thing that's even close to that is somebody in a cowboy hat pushing cattle on a pasture horseback.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if we take the American soldier and the American rancher and agriculturalist and we say, what's the third most American thing? Hell, I don't know. I cannot begin to find that third part of that triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with our love of, you know, America first, the military, all the things that we stand for and the supply chain issues we've found, we heard a podcast with Pete Roberts and Jocko Willink.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Roberts is the original founder of Origin out of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
They now make boots and jeans, but they started just making gis in the jiu-jitsu industry. And for those of you that don't know who Jocko is, I'm not sure where the algorithm is because, man, I am followed around by that guy on social media.
Same.
But those guys talked about, you know, oh, you can't do this on your own. You can't manufacture in America. You can't do all these things. The system's rigged against you. All the same stuff you'll hear in the beef industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
85% of the beef industry is controlled by 4 companies. You can't do it big enough. You can't get there. I mean, we had family members that were even like, when we started the company, man, we just don't know if that's a good idea. And when we listened to that podcast, I was like, I actually sent it to Kara. I said, this is our story. They're talking about completely different business, but this is our story.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same stuff. And we made some connections, and we got on the phone with the guys. The guys meaning the founders of Jocko Fuel, which is Brian Littlefield, Pete Roberts, and Jocko himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it took about 13 months, but as of the 16th of August, they are business partners.
So cool,
and they brought in a huge group of people with them. So Dr. Sean Baker, the carnivore doctor, he was friends of ours. He came in. Dave Burke, who was a Top Gun fighter pilot that worked for Jocko.
Good deal, Dave Burke.
Oh, yeah. He's a great dude. And then Travis Mills, who Jocko has said on his podcast is his own hero. You guys have met me a few times, but Travis Mills left me speechless in Maine, and my wife didn't know that was possible. Yeah, so Travis is a quadruple amputee from the 82nd Airborne. Lost both his legs above the knee, lost his right arm completely, and his left arm above the elbow. And I met him at Origin Camp. We went up to Maine and met all the guys, like literally the week after we closed everything. And I was talking to Travis, and he said something. I said, I got you, man. That makes sense. And he goes, you know what's funny? I said, what's that? He goes, that's what the Taliban said. And man, I stopped, and I'm a fan of gallows humor, but I don't know the proper way to respond. But I looked over at Brian from Jocko Fuel, and Brian goes, he just shrugged at me. And I said, man, I stepped in a bear trap there, didn't I? And Travis goes, dude, that's how they got my left leg. How the hell did you know? and I looked over at Brian. He goes, dude, he can do this for hours. Don't engage. I was like,
don't engage.
Don't engage.
Oh, God,
And
that's hilarious.
so, you know, it's so much about mission. It's so much about the growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And not doing what is traditional, right? Like that's your guys's. I mean, man, I grew up in Pendleton, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm spoiled in the fact that everybody's like, our rodeo's cool. I'm like, are you sure? And I'd go to it. I'm like, you guys, I didn't even know how blessed I was to grow up in Pendleton.
Mm.
But I grew up around rodeo, and man, to see guys stretching before the bronc riding was a big deal, right? Not half the stuff you guys do now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do it the same way people have done forever, you can, but you're going to end up in the same spot they were.
Amen. Amen, dude. It's so important to
So
find people with the same mission and same values and vision, and that's what you've talked about here. And you didn't, the growth mindset. And for anyone listening, we've talked about this multiple times on this podcast, but a lot of industries, a lot of companies get stuck in this like famine mindset where they're just fighting just to survive, right? And they don't believe that they can be bigger or go further because they don't have the partners in their corner that can help them see that and help them get there. So hearing about you guys, you just listening to podcasts and being like, dude, that's us. Like that's our story. These guys get it. They may not understand the beef industry or cattle industry, but they understand what we are here for and what we're fighting for. And so when you get to growth mindset, you take that chance and leap out there and put yourself out there and put yourself in front of them and just, you know, I'm sure again, those guys probably get a million asks a day about people wanting to team up with them. But your vision aligned with theirs. I know they're all about American made everything, and everything is made in America. If you don't follow Origin on Instagram or anything, Jocko's talking about how like they are going to save America through the things that they're doing, and see them sticking true to their word and partnering with people like you, incredible people that are again trying to change how the cattle industry is run and how beef is delivered to consumers. It's incredible, man. It fires me up. Like when you were talking about that podcast and then how that just all aligned and worked out, just made the hair on my arm stand up, dude. Super cool. And it's game changing.
it's certainly been a crazy ride. It's been a super crazy ride.
Yeah.
Like in probably the 75 days leading up to closing, hey, all the negotiations are done. Now we're just doing paperwork. Oh man, it was like you would actually, I had a really good buddy of mine. He goes, "How you doing, man?" I said, I rotate between holy shit, we're going to do this, and holy shit, we're going to do this. It was just some days you're so excited, and there's other days I don't want to say dreading it, but you're like, man, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And the best part is you really learn a lot about other people when they see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had a lot of people, they're like, well, aren't you worried now that you got the deal done? I said, no, man, now I just got to go work.
Yeah.
Work's never been the problem.
Right.
The 6 or 8 or 10 months working up to the deal being done, wondering, that imposter syndrome creeps in, right? Like, you wonder if maybe you missed something or they missed something, or, there's so many things going through your mind on the way to getting the deal done that, man, now that it's done, you got to do what we've been doing. This is going to be great with partners that know more about our business than we do, especially on the social side, the marketing side, the networking side. It's, choose your hard.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be hard that you've got to take your business to the stratosphere? Or do you want it to be hard because you're not sure if you're going to have a business tomorrow because the system you need to run your company might go away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's so important. Choosing your
cupcakes
hard.
and unicorns cupcakes and unicorns are for dreams.
Yeah.
Life's not cupcakes and unicorns.
You guys need to make a shirt with that on there. Oh, that's awesome,
dude. The amount of people that stopped me for the Life's Tough Get a Helmet Champion Living shirt, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, I wore it. Actually, I wore it on a podcast last week, so I'll have to send you the link to that.
Please do.
But I walked around with it on Saturday at Pendleton, just hanging out. And the number of people that are like, "Where do I get that?" I was like, so hopefully you see a bump. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm big enough. I kind of count as like a free billboard. You're welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it. Much appreciated, man. Oh, I love that. So this deal has come through. You guys have expanded your business exponentially. What are your plans
Actually, 2 months ago today, right?
Yeah. And
2
I,
months
dude, I
ago
remember
today,
when
right on the
when this
nose.
started, when this was first becoming even a possibility when we talked about it, and I feel like it was years ago, but it was maybe a year ago. And
Yeah.
it's been a long process. So I'm beyond stoked for you guys and what has come to be. But like looking forward, what does this partnership do for Colorado craft beef and the consumer?
Sure. Well, so one, we get to expand in a more intentional way. So, back to your financial question about the boys at OPA, you got to be intentional. Are you just running around hoping for the best? We're going to be intentional in how we grow because now we can be. We've got some new products we're getting ready to launch. So if you go to the Colorado Craft Beef website, a little pop-up will come up to sign up for the newsletter. That's where all the new products are going to start launching. We've got 2 of them that are probably going to be out right before Christmas. We've got some new merch coming, but just that different stretch towards lifestyle branding rather than just being a steak company is going to start to move, and then just expanding into other markets. Maybe more portable snacks or things like that. I think we're looking at maybe an ancestral burger blend. There's a lot of things coming down the pipe, and then some other potentially cool relationships where we maybe do some one-off collabs on some different product, doing some cool brand partnerships. So yeah, just more moving things than I could even begin to point out at this point, while still executing on the core business and growing and doing stupid things like taxes because they get really upset if you don't fill in your paperwork. So yeah,
dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I feel I can relate to the many moving parts. I feel like we are constantly in that stage where it's just so many things that we have planned for the future, and it's just still have to maintain everything that we have going on right now. So I know it can get a little bit overwhelming, but when you have partners and you have guys that are again sharing the same vision and mission, it makes it that much easier, but also that much more powerful when you're doing those things and getting it all out there. I looked at the website the other day. I was going to order some, and then I got sidetracked, so I need to go back and do that. But I saw you guys had a lot of different variety of what you're offering. You can do it's a one-time order, or you can do a subscription. Is that right?
Yep. And actually, probably in about 2 months, we're going to have a new website launched. We're converting to a different platform where we will have a la carte ordering.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so you can kind of pick and pack whatever you want. We're finally to a scale that we can do that, which is not a small feat. Like that's, we've had some people ask us on podcasts, well, when are you going to go to a grocery store? I'm like, well, you got to understand that is a scale question because if you want to send beef to Kroger, they demand a semi-load. It's 40,000 pounds of burger. Well, that's all the burger off 200 calves. So, I'm not saying it's not possible, but there's a lot of people that don't understand that scale.
Right.
And it's the same thing when you talk to a restaurant. They want, well, I need 200 pounds of ribeyes a week. I'm like, that's adorable, but you do realize the whole cow's not made out of ribeyes, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not just a plug and play item. There, you have to move the ball all at the same time, and that is one of the things that's been the most challenging. But it should be a ton of fun. And back to that growth mindset comment you made, one of the things that drives me crazy within agriculture, and to some degree it's well founded, but in other degrees it's a hamstring on the industry, is everybody's worried about what the other guy makes, not whether or not their deal is solid. So, in a growth type company, you have to understand that to get further growth, it usually costs something. And you can choose to not give up anything and have a smaller company, or do you want to, just spitballing numbers here, do you want to own 100% of a company that's worth $1 million, or do you want to own 70% of a company that's worth $100 million?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that say, well, I want the 100%. I'm like, well, you're not doing the math. You're not getting net value.
Yeah.
But that's Ag 101, right? Like, Well, hey, I need to buy this load of hay. I got a guy that wants to buy it. Well, what's he paying you? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Make your own deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it's like if you guys bring in say a celebrity coach. Say you bring in, The Rock to OPA. I mean, I don't know what kind of
That's the
Rolodex you
next
guys are
school,
swinging, but
not
you
this
bring
one
in
coming up.
there you go. So you bring in some super high end fitness guy. What's he going to say? He's not going to say, well, you need to give me 70% of your revenue. He's going to have some insane number.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to charge should reflect on his number, not the other way around. And I've seen deals like that in ag, coming and going. How do you price this? Well, that depends. What are you going to sell it for? I'm like, no, man, what's your cost of production? I want to make sure you're taken care of. What is that? And if I happen to have a market that I can make a little money on too, what does it matter to you? And
Exactly.
that's where everybody's trying to protect their sliver of pie instead of making the damn pie bigger.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that is gold right there. That is some great advice and good insight.
Well, and it's hard. It's hard in your guys' industry though. Like, if Chase Brooks wins Pendleton, nobody else is winning Pendleton.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how you deal with that famine mindset in such a competitive industry like yours. Because in our industry, like the direct to consumer beef industry, we could use every slot at our own harvest facility and still not make a dent in the Colorado market, let alone the national market. Obviously, in your guys' model, you guys probably have more people you could coach than you have time for, but that is paid for by hopefully competition winnings from a rodeo or a barrel race or whatever.
Yeah.
So, how do you combat the famine mindset while still keeping people competitive?
Dude, it's tough. It really is tough. And that famine mindset is just all over rodeo. We deal with that on a daily basis with guys not wanting to. They can't see the investment in training turning into winning more money, if that makes sense. So we've said it a couple times on here, but if you're hiring a personal trainer, say you hire one of us, okay, for a full year, it's somewhere around $4,000, $5,000 for a year of personal training, individualized coaching. If you don't win $4,000 or $5,000 more after being consistent and training more and doing the things that are going to get you there, then we have a huge problem, right? And in all reality, when guys do invest in themselves and do take it seriously, they at least double what they've invested in themselves with the training, right? So we've been having not a hard time, but it's still just the culture of rodeo that we're drinking, loving, fighting cowboys, and that we're gonna continue to do that. And guys just still are coming around, but a lot of guys and girls still don't see how it should work. That growth mindset is like, okay, if I invest $4,000 in myself here through training, I should by far be at least getting that back and then getting it, times two back. Because I'm going to be able to win, because
But
I'm going
that's
to be
not
able to
just even
perform
with
so
the
much
training
better.
though, too.
No,
Kind of like what Jeff was saying, like across the ag industry in general, like a lot of these guys come from an ag background. So like how many of them ride with a worn out bull rope for, way past the life of it because they don't want to go buy a new one. When if they would have just bought a new one, they probably would have increased their riding percentage. Or they stop at a McDonald's because they don't feel like they have enough money to buy food at the steakhouse. But if they eat at the steakhouse, they would feel better tomorrow and they'd probably perform better. Like it's just, it's across the board. That mindset is.
Well,
Absolutely.
and here's the real crazy math for the finance guy in the room. If you're 25, 27 years old and you're, let's be fair, if you're a bareback rider, you're probably on the back end of your career. Yeah. If you're investing that money now, you're behind the curve already. So if all you can do is get another couple more years of competitive riding in because you got on that ball early, you have to look at the long tail. We can't look at this as a transactional thing, right? Like, if you go back to some of the other episodes, to listeners haven't heard me before, I lost a ton of weight. I've been changing a lot of my own health mindset. I can't tell you the amount of money I've invested in that, but I also can't tell you how much that's going to multiply in the next decades of my life. So you have to be more creative in your understanding of your investment. It's not a cost, it's an investment. Same thing with employees, same things with good tools, same things with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You start treating relationships transactionally, you're not going to fucking have any.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's an absolute fact, man. And it's a longevity game, right? Like in rodeo, we've talked about this a million times. The way that you are a successful rodeo athlete and actually have a chance at making enough money to hopefully not have to go work a 9 to 5 after you're done professionally rodeoing and, beating the hell out of your body for 15 years or 10 years is to increase your longevity in the game. And the way that we do that is one of the ways is through physical fitness and nutrition. How much more money can a guy win being able to compete, like you said, for another couple extra years, instead of having their career cut short because they're worn out. It's the sky's the limit. And with the growth that we're seeing in rodeo and prize money, I mean, just look at the standings this year. It usually didn't take $100,000 to get in the top 15. Well, dude, you had to be at 110,000 at the least for the bareback riding, and I know every other event was higher to even have a fighting chance to make the last hole that's going to the NFR. So the amount of prize money that's out there has increased a ton. The competition has increased a ton because guys are again starting to invest in themselves and see the big picture here, and start training, start paying attention to their nutrition and taking care of their bodies. So I think it's pretty cool, and it's kind of cool how that all lines up. Go ahead.
Well, and if when you're in your 40s, you're able to play with your kids because you took care of yourself in your 20s, what's that worth?
$1 billion, bro.
Yeah,
literally.
you can't monetize some of that stuff. What's that from 8 seconds, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'll end up like a cowboy who's broke and can't get out the bed. Well, if you can avoid the hell out of that by learning how to move functionally and recover better, right? Because that old bull riding adage, it's not if you get hurt, it's when and how bad. Well, if you're in better shape, you're going to recover better.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to recover sooner.
Fact.
Your body's probably not going to suffer the amount of debilitating stress.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a one-for-one cash transaction. And if you're looking at it that way, whether it's what you're eating or, like Paul said, if you're using an old worn-out bull rope, you're not going to be perfect in any one spot. That's not how business works. And if you're a rodeo athlete, you are a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if everything's at about an 80 or 85%, you got a pretty damn good shot.
Dude, absolutely. That is, again, great insight. And it's just, like that right there. Like if you're a rodeo athlete, you are a business person. You are the business. You got to look at it that way and not seeing each transaction as I'm getting money back rather than what is this going to do for my future? How many more animals am I going to be able to ride? How much better am I going to be able to perform? Like Paul's example with the food, like I can go to McDonald's because I don't have enough money to quote unquote, go eat at the steakhouse. But how much better is that fuel that you're going to purchase from the steakhouse going to serve you the next day when you're competing? It's not really comparable when you start breaking down macronutrients and quality of food. Same way, no. And, like you said earlier, show your support with where your dollar is being put. And so whether it's you're wanting to support American companies or you're wanting to support a better quality product, you get the choice to choose where your money goes. And I don't think people see it that way a lot of times on, your purchasing power is showing your support and is your vote for what you want to be, right? Essentially in a lot of things. So, I think it's just really good points. Logan, did you have something, buddy?
Well, no, I think you're 100% correct. I mean, I think about it this way: if enough Americans decided that they go through the drive-through at McDonald's and that's crap food, if enough Americans stop going to McDonald's, it's literally what they're doing. Like McDonald's would fold, right? I mean, we're voting every time. You think that your $8 or $9 or $10 or $300 a month for training or whatever it might be doesn't make an impact, but it does. I mean, it makes a huge impact. And so whether it's purchasing quality food, whether it's purchasing quality training, whether it's purchasing quality equipment, like you guys have said, it's just going to prolong your career and your quality of life. Because if you're in your 20s and you're listening to this, it's going to be hard to understand, but there is a lot of life outside of rodeo. I can attest to that. Doug can attest to that. Like all of us that have been contestants and have been wrapped up in it completely. There's so much life outside of rodeo, and you can't put a price tag on being able to go jump on the trampoline with the kids and do those kind of things. So vote with your dollar. I completely agree.
Heck yeah, dude. To wrap this up, where can people find out more information about Colorado craft beef and find out more about what you guys have to offer?
Sure. ColoradoCraftBeef.com is the best place to go. You can buy digitally there. Everything will run through. We ship out every Monday. You can also follow us on all social channels. Again, the newsletter is the best way to stay connected. That's actually where most of our sales come through. They just come out to our engaged audience, not just to the masses. So, we're building a community, not a company. And actually, I think the launch video of us and the Jocko partnership is going to be out in the next week or so. That should be out on social. We're actually doing the voiceover for that this afternoon.
Awesome.
And man, it's just hammering into Q4. We're just going like crazy, getting ready for the holidays. If anybody needs, a bunch of gifts for business gifts, we coordinate a lot of that during the holidays. So if you need anything custom, let us know.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Y'all make sure to check them out. Like I said, been a big fan of Colorado craft beef since the second I tried it. Incredible gifts too for Christmas. Like everyone gets shirt and underwear, but you get a box full of jam up steaks. There's nothing better than that. So make sure you guys check them out. Colorado craft beef. Do we still have a discount code active with you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Champion Living, I believe it was. I'll double check, and you could put it in your story or the show notes.
We'll definitely put it in the show notes. Champion Living, guys, you can use a discount code, save you a little bit of cash on an incredible product. Jeff, dude, thank you so much for being here today and coming out and sharing some of this info. And congratulations on all of the things that you guys are accomplishing and truly changing the business, man, and the culture of beef production. I love that you guys are creating, a community around what you're doing, not just here's some good beef, everybody needs to get it. You guys are creating a community around what you're doing, and we love it, man. Big fans over here, and can't wait to have you guys on again.
Well, it's not dissimilar to what you guys are doing, right?
Nope. Same. That's
what
why
you guys
I
are doing
think
in the
we
rodeo
resonate so
community.
much. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, boys. Have a good one. Really appreciate the time, and we'll chat soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. We got to thank our sponsors real quick. Beastmaster Rodeo been with us since day one. You can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code Champion Living. All caps lock, going to save you 10% on all Beastmaster gear and Hui brands. Man, all of us are rocking their hats, shirts, hoodies. You can get yours at getyourhui.com. Use our discount code Champion Living, all one word, not case sensitive. It's going to save you 10% on all Hui products. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you later.